a guy that could be moved from New England.
We're not getting rid of Judon. We are not getting rid of Judon.
What sense does it make to keep him? I understand.
Audio Jungle.
This is a highly requested episode, and when I mean highly requested, one person commented it, and I said, let's do it.
One guy in the comments, shout out to, do you have the guy's name?
I can get it real quick. Sorry. It's kind of disrespectful to not have it on hand.
Yeah, we should have his name up and ready to go.
I think it sounds like he watches, no?
Yeah.
The videos.
Spa to the max.
Yeah, like Spa.
This is for you, brother.
He has his picture on here. Is so funny.
It is funny.
Thanks if you're watching this video, thank you. Thanks for watching the other videos. I think you watch them. It sounds like you do. So you said comment on it. You commented on it and said do the Patriots. So you say jump, I say how high. Let's do it. So, 2023 for the New England Patriots was, I'd say, a rough year. I took a massive L on them, which I don't think anybody could have foreseen the massive fall off of Mac Jones. I knew you weren't a big fan of him, but he was just like he's flat, just like a career backup now. Probably he'll never be a starter ever again. And I think that if you would have told me that Mac Jones played his best football his rookie year and didn't develop and got worse over the next two, I would have told you were a complete liar.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I was never really that high on him, but to be honest, I didn't expect it to be quite this bad. I mean, the New England Patriots in 2023 were one of the worst, if not the worst, offenses in the NFL.
Honestly, it sucked to watch because I wouldn't say that I'm like a massive Patriots fan, but I mean, I still have my Patriots Randy Moss jersey that I'll throw on and go out in my front yard and throw a football up in the air and run underneath it and catch it.
That's right. Throw it over your house and then run back to the other side and catch it.
And it definitely hurt to have to see Bill Belichick. At the end of the day, if you don't like Bill Belichick or you do like him, watching an all-time great have a season from hell like that was rough to watch. So, but with that being said, some of the Patriots games, it was almost a miracle that they were even in them. And I definitely commend Bill Belichick and the defense. He can still coach a defense at an elite level.
Yeah, the issue wasn't necessarily the defense. The issue was they had a lot of injuries and their offense was abysmal.
And
so I was just going to say, so Bill Belichick did, as honestly, from what it seemed, as much as he could have done with this team, with the talent that they had available. Bill O'Brien honestly failed Mac Jones and the rest of those guys on the offense. He was really bad.
I want to talk about Bill Belichick for a second, but I do want to talk about Bill O.B. because, man, he seems to be just jumping all over the place since he's left the Texans. Like, it seems like he got hot at Penn State. He went to the Texans. And, like, ever since then, he has not really been able to find his mojo. And even the year that he was at Alabama, the Alabama offense, like, almost didn't look as good as it always did. So, did he lose his fastball, it feels like?
I was going to say that we need to study the Bill O'Brien fall from grace because it felt like those years with the Texans and those years with Penn State that he was set to have a long, successful coaching career. And now he's kind of just been bouncing all over the place and hasn't really been able to stick somewhere and hasn't really had that much success. So
it's tough to watch.
It is. It's very tough to watch.
He's at Boston College now, so I guess we'll see how that plays out. But I mean, ultimately, Boston College is really never that good. So I don't know what he'll be able to do. Maybe ultimately he'll be decided if the quarterback plays really well.
Yeah.
Where I do want to criticize Bill Belichick, and it's hard for me to do because he's the greatest of all time, 13 wins away from the win record. Over the last few years, from a personnel standpoint through the draft and free agency, he has failed this football team, plain and simple. He hasn't made the right choices at wide receiver. He hasn't done anything to bolster up this offense, and he did nothing to develop Mac Jones after having a successful rookie year. And you absolutely have to put that on his choices of who he put in charge to run the offense and the positional coaches, and then ultimately his personnel decisions through draft and free agency. I think that is a very fair criticism of Bill Belichick for the last 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, they've hit on some of these defensive players, I think, but the offensive side of the ball, whether they're drafting them or bringing them in free agency, has just been really, really below average. And I think that that's a very fair criticism um, of Bill Belichick at this point. One thing that I Matt Patricia was the offensive coordinator before Bill O'Brien, and I feel like that needs to be talked about more because that was an absolutely horrible move on his part.
No doubt.
Um, so that doesn't look great on the resume. Putting Matt Patricia as your OC, honestly, at this point, putting Matt Patricia on your coaching staff doesn't look good for anybody. But
He's a
especially
coach
as
for
a
a reason. Don't take your frustrations out because you're an Eagles fan.
dude, the last 5 years, he's been a horrible coach.
No, you're right. He failed with the Lions and now he's been bouncing around. I'm with you, but I'm just messing around. So real quick, completely forgot. I didn't really dive too much in the 2023 season because I feel like there's a lot more to talk about. 4-13, bad year. Like last in the
Really bad
division.
year.
It's just a bad season. There's really not much more to say. They figured out positive takeaways. They figured out that they have a really great defense, and positive takeaway, Mac Jones played like shit and they got rid of him. They played 0 games. They didn't think about it. They benched him, played Bailey Zappi. I think a
Yep.
lot of teams have a connection to their first round pick that is almost at detriment
To a
to the
fault, yeah.
organization, where they're not able to rip the band-aid off and say that they made the mistake. And it was pretty clear that they all agreed, like, Mac Jones isn't that guy. Let's bench him. And we traded him for a 7th round pick. So I have to give them credit for doing that at least. I mean, Zach Wilson stayed in New York for like 3 extra seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. They cleaned house everywhere, basically, and I think that that was the best possible move for the New England Patriots as an organization.
Do you have
Brought in,
anything?
I was just going to say they brought in They brought in new head coach, new OC, new DC. So like, I'm excited to see kind of what these guys do
Do you have
moving
anything that
forward.
you want to say about their schedule last season, win, away, anything like that? Because I didn't really
Y-
feel like it was much to talk about, but go ahead.
I mean, I just have a couple notes here. They were 1-8 at home, 3-5 away. Um, I actually have this game written down when they beat the Steelers on Thursday Night Football, and it was the Bailey Zappi coming out party.
That was the best game
Um,
ever.
he went 19 for 28, 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. Um, it felt like I was watching what Western Kentucky Bailey Zappi out there.
Yeah.
So
I
he did have one
listen,
shining moment last year.
and I absolutely hate the Steelers. So they lost to the Patriots and lost to the Cardinals, like 2 of the worst teams in the NFL last year. And it was like the best 2-week stretch in the football season. So additions, like you said, we were stupid about this, and I think I've said this in the past, so sorry to repeat myself, but Gerard Mayo has always been the Bill Belichick successor for years. It was like written into his contract, apparently. It's always been talked about. And then whenever the coaching hire thing started to really buzz, it was no one else. It was always Gerard Mayo. So the Patriots always knew who their next guy was going to be. So I would have to think, like, you hear ex players talk about him, like Julian Edelman, etc. They all speak very highly of him, and I think that he will do a good job in this position. I'm excited to watch it play out. The exact way that I think he's going to impact this team is, everybody talks about this defense, and if Bill Belichick's going away, like, what will this defense look like? I think having somebody in the building like Gerard Mayo who understands the ins and outs of this defense, I don't think that we will see much drop off. So I think that this defense will stay the same. It's all about the development of the offense, and they did hire a new OC quarterbacks coach. Every to the nine, they hired everybody. So those are some additions that they have made thus far.
Yeah, they brought in Alex Van Pelt, who was the Cleveland offensive coordinator last year. Now, interesting thing with him is he didn't even call plays for the Browns last year
Yeah,
because Kevin Stefanski was calling plays.
yeah,
But
Stefanski.
Seventh Stefanski. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see kind of how he takes over this offense. I mean, at least up until this point, from what I've been reading, he's saying all the right things. He's not trying to come in there and like implement a certain scheme. He's going in there with the open mind of we need to figure out the strengths of these players and play to all of their advantages. It really seems like he wants to. I don't know what the plan is exactly yet with Drake May, but reading through some of these comments, it really seems like he's excited to get in there and coach him. And it seems like he wants to use Drake May to attack defenses rather than kind of what the Patriots have done the last 2 years with we're going to throw the football at the line of scrimmage. We're going to throw the football behind the line of scrimmage. They were doing that at, I believe, like the second highest rate in the NFL, which they were limited at the quarterback position with Mac Jones and sorry, I'm gonna say Kyle Zappi, Bailey Zappi, but but Drake May brings in a completely different style of quarterback. I think he's more mobile, and I think he's stronger than both of those guys. So, at least at least Van Pelt is coming in and saying the right things off the bat. It'll be interesting to see kind of how he implements a new offense into in New England.
So before we get into all of that, the report that came out today was Gerard Mayo said it is very obvious that as of right now, the most pro-ready quarterback on our roster is Jacoby Brissett.
No
And
doubt.
I appreciated that. I appreciated the transparency. I appreciate that they're not putting Drake May on any sort of timeline. And it really seems like they're going to allow him to develop and they're not rushing anything and they don't care. And I think that that is the best move for them as of right now. I think Drake May could probably play week one personally, but what's the point? Because the New England Patriots, they're not in win now mode. They are in let's develop our players mode. Let's see what we have and let's make sure that we got this thing right at number 3 with the quarterback. And I think that they're doing all the right things up to this point.
I did want to ask you what your thoughts are as far as do you let Drake? I understand that Jacoby Brissett, and I agree, is more NFL ready. Obviously, he's been in the league for how long? But from a developmental standpoint, are you somebody that's all right? We drafted this rookie quarterback. I think the best thing for him right now is to fall is to sit behind Jacoby Brissett, watch how he does it. He's a veteran. He's been here plenty of times. Or do you think it's let's throw him out there? The best way to get experience is by playing. It sounds like you agree with how they're doing it as let's have Jacoby Brissett be the starter for however many weeks. Let Drake May get comfortable and then go from there.
There's just no rush, I guess is where my head's at.
Yeah.
Like nobody I don't even like Patriots fans don't think that they're going to win a playoff game this year. So there's no rush, there's no pressure. You
My
paid
counter to that is if there's no rush and there's no pressure, why not put him out there right away and let him develop in game on the fly rather than sitting him on the bench?
because
I'm just being devil's advocate here.
I just think over the past few years, and with obviously Mahomes and Jordan Love being like the bright and shining stars of this like example, is being able to sit behind a veteran, and whether that veteran be amazing or whatever that might be, that might not even be the point. It's about learning the offense, understanding the game, and getting a connection with your teammates. And I think what's most important as of right now is figuring out who these weapons are going to be on the offense for Drake May to have an understanding of who's going to be good and who's not going to be good. So I don't think that like having real life live game experience straight off the bat is going to like do anything. Like it could help, but it also could not help and it could kill his confidence or whatever that might be. And I think that you paid Jacoby Brissett to come in the building and do exactly this. This is the Patriots kind of get knocked for not having a plan. The Patriots have a plan and they've stuck to it. Hired Gerard Mayo. They signed Jacoby Brissett. Everybody was like, they're going to take a quarterback. They took a quarterback. Everybody said that they were going to make him sit behind Jacoby Brissett. They're making him sit behind Jacoby Brissett. They have a plan. And I know that like a lot of people like didn't think that they did, but I think it's pretty clear that they're going to do things their way and they are not in win now mode and they are about developing these young players and getting back to being who they are.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think there's benefits and pros and cons to both situations.
Can
So
I
I don't
go
go
ahead?
ahead. I was just gonna
Can
say
I,
I don't think there's either way. I don't know if there's a right answer. I think that you could be successful in both situations. Like some players just learn better going into the fire right away week 1, and some players maybe need a little bit longer time to kind of figure things out. And that's okay. I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that.
I will say that the additions to this football team, Drake May obviously at 3, 6'5", 240, legitimate size, like has everything. The one thing that people said that he really needs to clean up is like his footwork. I think that he'll be able to get that figured out. And then on top of it, I think that New England Patriots, I didn't know who Javon Baker was. If you have not watched the Javon
Yep.
Baker draft videos, familiarize yourself. He is I think that he is actually going to be good. He just like has that look in his eyes. He like has that dog mentality. I watched him play in
The
college.
swagger. The
He
swagger.
I think he has it. I really think he does. I'm not just saying that the bullshit. The next pick that they made in the draft, and I wanted the Cardinals to get this guy so bad in the second round. They got Jalen Polk from Washington, and I think that he is a legitimate going to be like a dog in the NFL. He could be a number 2 wide receiver for multiple teams in this league, and I think that that's the exact role that he's going to play in this offense. They signed Ramondre Stevenson, who's been successful in the past, had a down year last year. I think he'll be back.
He was
And
fighting
then
some injuries too, I believe.
and then somebody who is starting to get a lot of buzz and is Pop Douglas, Demario Douglas from Liberty, who
Yep.
looks really good, who had some positive moments last season, but he is like due for having like that next step in his career. And I actually really am starting to like some of these pieces. They still have Hunter Henry. I still like some of these pieces that they have on offense, and I think it could potentially be a good young nucleus as a start for Drake May.
I want to go back to the Javon Baker thing real quick. I believe his draft day comment was something along the lines of, "You better bring your popcorn because I make people in wheelchairs stand up."
Yeah. My favorite
So I don't know if it gets any harder than that.
My favorite part is he gets drafted. He's pissed as fuck. He starts playing She's Fried by Future, and the whole fam's vibing out. And he says, "Give me that motherfucking liquor." And I was like, this guy is going to be a Hall of Famer. Like, he's special. So I'm in on the
That
Javon
was
Baker
the
hype.
George Pickens video of last season
Yeah, him standing in front of the bro. That video,
with the shiesty on.
if
Yeah.
you guys have not, anybody who's watching this, if you have not watched that video, go watch it. If you're a Patriots fan, it'll literally dial you in. I was fired up watching it. The next thing I want to get into is I think this defense next year is going to be like really good. You're gonna get Christian Gonzalez back and get him healthy. You're gonna get Matt Judon back, which I understand that he's a little older, but I still think he can be an impactful edge rusher. I think it's a debate if you should get rid of him or not and try to get some capital for him. But
That's what I was going to ask you, is that is
regardless,
kind of what do you think about that?
if you don't get rid of him, though, I think that he's a plus starter on this defense. I don't think that's a problem. You signed Tava for another 3-year contract. You re-signed Kyle Duggar. Jabril Peppers is playing his best football with New England. I never thought that guy would be good in the NFL, but
Correct.
he has completely turned around his career and he's playing good football. Josh Uche is good. Keon White, the guy from Georgia Tech who they drafted 2 years ago, he's really good. And then you have Christian Barmore. I don't know. I like this nucleus of this defense a ton. And I said it at the top when I was talking about Gerard Mayo, that hire. I think that the DNA and the makeup of this defense is going to be exactly the same. I don't think there's going to be much fall off, even though Bill Belichick is out of the building.
They also get Christian Gonzalez back, who is coming off an injury, but he was somebody that I absolutely loved last year, coming out of Oregon. But to go back to the Judon situation, I don't know what sense it necessarily makes for New England to keep him. They're in a spot where they're obviously not in win now mode. He seems like a guy that you could trade away to a team that is looking to win a Super Bowl, looking to be significantly more competitive and get some decent draft capital for. He's also 30 something years old, 31, 30. So he's towards that point in his career where we're probably going to start to see a little bit of a decline, and his timeline just doesn't necessarily match up with where the rest of this Patriots team is at. So I've been hearing just along some podcasts, not necessarily like he's going to get traded, but he's a name that's been continuing to pop up as far as a guy that could be moved from New England.
We're not getting rid of Judon. We are not getting rid of Judon.
What sense does it make to keep him? I understand he's a great player, but the timeline makes zero sense for him to be on the Patriots.
No, I'm just fucking around. I mean, you're probably right, but I don't know. Ultimately, you're going to have to sit there and be like, what are we really going to get for him? I think that that's a fair, I don't think you're going to get like a first for him or whatever.
No, not at all.
So
Third?
I don't know. I really don't. I would have to like really look back at some history of like players like him who have been traded. So regardless, I could see him still being impactful for this defense if he's playing on it. And if he's not playing on it and they get rid of him, it could potentially get them some sort of draft capital.
I think draft capital at this point is more important than keeping a 30-plus-year-old edge rusher that is looking to get paid after this season, I believe.
And maybe you're right, and I don't know the answer to that honestly right now. I would guess that he's going to be playing for the Patriots this season. That would be my guess. The next question I wanted to ask you is like because this episode's way different from the other team previews because I think that this is just a completely different conversation. The next one is that I wanted to ask you is, what does success look like for this team?
Yeah, I kind of figured that this was going to come up because of just how bad how bad the Patriots were last year and how brand new everything is going to be for them this year and moving forward. But I'm looking at this right now and their win total's 4.5. I think even if they win less than that, they can have a very successful season. I think success for the Patriots looks like, I think we see Drake May at some point this season. I think
agree.
I don't know when, maybe like week 10, week 11, but later in the season. I think success looks like him coming in and showing some flashes of promising football moving forward. He doesn't need to go out there and light the world on fire, nor should anybody expect him. I don't think they have the best by any means of skill position players on this team. Their O-line was not great last year, so I think there's some serious questions there that they need to figure out. But I think you just need to see some flashes and see him start to trend in the right direction for the upcoming season, where you have an opportunity to build a little bit more around him. I think if you see the defense play at the same level that they did last year, I think that's obviously a huge success. And then more so just figuring out who the New England Patriots are in the post Bill Belichick era. So I think those are the three things that I would consider successful or look for if I'm a New England Patriots fan moving forward.
I think I agree with you completely. So the first point I have, and you made it already, is the development of Drake May. Make sure that he is developing well, and whenever it is time to put him in, do put him in. And I don't, like you said, don't set the world on fire. Show flashes that you're understanding the offense and that you can play at a high level. And I think that he can. I don't think that there's question. The next thing that I think is extremely important is the development of these young wide receivers. I want to see Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, and Pop Douglas be the three wide receivers for this team, and I want to see them develop well. They haven't had a good wide receiver in a long time, probably since Jacoby Myers, and Jacoby Myers is a bona fide too. So I'm not saying that anybody needs to be that alpha number one, but we need to at least see a positive step forward with their skill position. And I think that the Patriots fans agree with that because they have not had much fun from the skill positions in the last few years.
Can I chime in on something?
Yeah.
One of the things I heard about was I think Brandon Ayuk probably ends up playing for the Niners, but one of the possible trade situation scenarios that was brought to my attention was the Patriots trading for Brandon Ayuk. I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
I listen, I think I mean, that'd be sick. I mean, I
Yeah,
ultimately like cool. That'd be sick. Brandon Ayuk in a Patriots uniform would hit. Like,
correct.
pause. But I I haven't wanted to bring this up. I haven't wanted to talk about it because he isn't going anywhere.
I
The
don't think so
timeline
either.
the timeline of the situation just makes no sense. If it was before the draft, I think we'd be having a different conversation, but he didn't get moved, so I think that he ultimately stays. So but yeah, I mean, if they could get Brandon Ayuk, that'd be cool as hell because I wanted them to get Calvin Ridley this offseason, but ultimately they didn't pay up for him, and it is what it is. But um, yeah, I mean, Brandon Ayuk would look sick in a Patriots uni. Number 11 with his helmet and his
Correct.
dreads would look hard.
Yeah, correct. You're also
Last
forgetting that the Patriots, I think they have Juju Smith-Schuster still.
he's getting cut. He'll be cut. He will be. That's like a
I
guy that's
know.
gonna get cut.
He's bad.
Um, you said keeping figuring out the identity with post Bill Belichick era. I really think that they're doing a great job of that already. Like I do, and I was skeptical at first, and I think that like I said, it's clear that they had a plan and they stuck to it and they're unapologetic about it. I didn't think that it would go this well. I think that as of now they've made all the right moves on paper. Now we need to watch it play out on the field, plain and simple. The
That's what
one
I
thing
was
that
gonna say is I was just gonna throw in here, I think it's a little different versus uh preseason, off season versus once the pedal hits the metal and you're playing in the season. I think if shit goes really badly, I think that's where you could start to, I don't think by any means should it be a big deal, but if things start to go badly, new coach, new everything, right? Like maybe people could start being like, all right, what the hell are we doing here? If they're
yeah,
getting like blown out and things just don't look good at all, then
you
that's
have a
where I can see
conversation.
like the entire yeah, exactly.
The one thing that I personally would like to see is I would like to see this defense play at a very high level. I think that that is one thing that we can expect from this Patriots team this season is that this defense is able to play at a high level. And if they're able to do that and with all that other stuff, I think that that's what a successful season looks like for them. And my 2024 prediction is I think that they're on worse record watch, but it's so different from the other teams that we've talked about who have absolutely zero direction in any way, shape, or form. The Patriots know who they are. They addressed all their problems and they're moving forward and they have a plan. That's the difference between the teams who are middling and dwindling down and the teams who are down but looking to build and fix it. So, yeah, I do think the Patriots are going to finish last in their division. I think if they win 4 games, I think that's a successful year for them. But ultimately, I do think that they're on worse record watch. And I think that's the best thing for them to be because the higher they pick in next year's draft, whether that be if they get a tackle or they're able to leverage that pick for more draft capital if there's a quarterback that somebody wants, I think that would just be another chess piece on the board for the Patriots to be able to be flexible and move forward past this Bill Belichick era.
Yeah, you could also take your receiver of the future. I know that kid from Missouri coming out is supposed to be a problem, but obviously a lot can change in 1 year.
No
Um,
doubt.
but yeah, I think you're spot on. I think the best thing for them is figure out what this next step is going to look like with Drake May, and then continue just to get as many quality players in the building as you possibly can, whether that be having a top 10 pick, which is probably going to happen, or even like you mentioned, trading back and maybe grabbing like two for like a middle round, a middle first round pick, or like in an early second, late second, or something along those lines. But just continue to build and get quality players. I think they did a phenomenal job in the draft this year. So at least for now, we don't know how things are going to play out. But on paper, I loved what they did in this draft, and then it'll be interesting to see what happens in the following years for them as far as the draft goes.
Well, what's your 2024 prediction?
Yeah, I mean, I got them right there with you.
Yeah.
I think they will probably win 3 or 4 games. Although I was thinking about it, like I feel like they always win 1 or 2 games in their division, and I don't think Jacoby Brissett is a horrible quarterback. And if their defense is as good as it was last year, I expect their offense to be better, even with Jacoby Brissett. Their offense was horrible last year.
Bro, they literally beat the Bills last season, and they were
Yeah,
like the Patriots were just flat bad, and they went and beat the Bills. So I'm right there with you. If the Patriots win over 4 games, I wouldn't be shocked in any way, shape, or form. They always win games they're not supposed to win. And I
yeah,
think that there's going to be better vibes in the building. And I think that they have better personnel in the building already past last year. So yeah, I'm right with you. I think the future is bright in New England, and the New England Patriots fans have a ton to be excited about, a ton to be happy about. Um, so yeah, I would like to listen. I know that this is an unpopular opinion, but I love all of Boston sports teams. I love the Celtics. I love the Patriots. And I think it's cool when both of those teams are good. I know they've won a million championships and people are pissed about it, but I don't know. I think it's like a cornerstone of professional sports when those two teams are like involved.
yeah. I mean, Boston sports, as much as I hate all of them, I do have a respect for them because of how much how much their fans care about their sports teams, like myself. So I hate them, but I respect it.
Yeah.
With that being said, also, I think it would be really fun if the Patriots decided to play Drake May week 10 when they play the Bears, and we get to see Drake May versus Caleb Williams.
No, I think that that's a very real possibility. When's their bye week?
Their bye week isn't until 14.
All right. Well, maybe he plays early, but that would be sweet to see both of those guys play against each other. So,
Yeah.
like I said, Patriots fans, you're in good hands. Hopefully, that you guys don't hate us. I felt like that was an extremely fair
Yeah.
representation of the Patriots organization.
I think that the worst years, as in the last 2, are behind you. Even if you guys go 4-13 this year, you can still have a good year.
Look at the Cardinals.
So,
The Cardinals won 4 games last year, and everybody was over the fucking moon. So, like,
correct. Yeah,
it's
correct.
possible to have a good vibe season, even if you're not winning a ton of games.
Yeah,
So
I need to
have that
see.
good vibe season.
I need to check in with Sam, see what he thinks about this upcoming season. I think he is very high on Drake May. I think he likes him, but also he would sell himself on anybody pretty much that the Patriots bring in. So
I understand. Hey, all right, brother. Well, I will text me and let me know what you want to do for tomorrow, and we'll do that
all
if you
right,
do it
works
or
for me.
not.
Yeah, works for me.
All right, peace, brother.
Audio Jungle.